Hello everyone, it's Stahlberger. Wow, another year has passed. I mean, the end of 2018. This year has been a lot of eventful. I can say that much. This year has actually been so much events, and well, if I had to cover all the events throughout the entire year, it would take me several hours to just go through every single topic of those events. But I won't do that because I don't want to keep you up so late or up so long to, listen to this particular video to them. So instead, I'm going to talk about several topics here. Well, let's start with some of the basic things what I experienced from this particular year. I'm also going to talk about several famous people who have passed away. Um, Anyways, this particular year has been very, very like a roller coaster ride for me. Particularly this summer, I didn't say this summer has been ridiculous, extremely hot. Hot as, I don't know, peanut desert? I don't know. But this summer has been extremely warm than usually. I remember only a few years ago when we had this type of same heat wave here in Sweden, but that only lasted for about 2 weeks. But this summer, this extremely heat, it lasted much longer. Not only Sweden was affected by this, even Europe was also affected. There were only several fires in across in Europe, and that was a very bad idea to happen. Because in Sweden, it started only last May and lasted to almost early August. And the fires, we actually had several fires going on here during summer. And we was actually outnumbered with firefighters. And there was actually fire grilling or barbecue forbidden here then during summer, especially because during the heat waves going on and the risk for even more fires. But people actually didn't listen to that forbidden rules because if they do, they can actually get tickets from police, and that fine is instant cheap one. I'd say that much. But anyways, because of the because of we were outnumbered of the firefighters here, we had to hire in people from Norway, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Poland, Portugal, and some other places I don't even remember. But we even rented 2 planes from Italy. And lucky enough, this heat wave lasted in that much longer, and this all of that happened that the summer. The fires was put out, and that was one of the biggest in modern history in here in my country. The second known was actually happened only 4 years ago, but luckily that was put out as well quickly. And this forest fires, it wasn't. Let's say that wasn't had in the value of the forest was several 100 million. I say that much was so extremely. And even people in their areas where those in the risk zones of fires was not allowed to use any water on the backyards or even filling the pools or anything because of the water level underground was very low, lower than usually. So that was forbidden to even just water in your own backyard. That was to then, because in early April and to early May, the grass was so green, but just at the peak of June and July, the grass was yellow and brown. If you could even walk on it, feeling like walking on um, sticks. It hurt. It was hurting much. I say this summer was so extremely warm. Sorry, cough my throat a bit. What else happened this year? Well, there has been several famous people that have been passing away this year. So many. And of course, I won't go through all of them. Only talk about a few of them actually. One of them is actually a famous Swedish singer or record producer by the name Avicii. Avicii was only 28 years old when he died. I I can't imagine how that's like. I am 28 myself, and that was actually one of the things I couldn't experience myself or even comprehend. 28 years old is a very young age. He accomplished so much within his life within the music business. Another man who quite recently passed away was actually George H.W. Bush, and that means the father of George W. Bush. He was mostly active within the humanitarian needs, which was actually kind of good. One of other famous people out there who has recently passed was actually Stephen Hawking. He was actually one of the four. He's actually one of the few people out there who actually survived the longest with a disease known as ALS. Normally people die after only 5 years being diagnosed with this disease, but he managed to actually survive for many, many years. He was one of the top brilliant scientists in the world within physics and even astronomy. He actually accomplished much to the scientific world, brought us a lot of new knowledge about space, how physics works, and new things that we never been thinking about. But unfortunately, he passed away. The world lost one of the top brilliant minds in the world, like Albert Einstein, who passed many years ago. It was like losing one of these great minds. And also, losing another mind was actually Carrie Fisher. Even though she passed, I think it was last year or this year, another brilliant act. It was just heartbreaking. This year we have been losing a lot of scientific people, people within the business, music, film industry. There is just one man that will always be remembered, and his name is Stan Lee. He quite recently, passed away at age 95. When I first heard the news about Stan Lee, I didn't want to believe it. I thought that he could have lived up to almost 100. But to live at age 95, it is still a great achievement. To have lived so long, to have been experienced so much for the past 80 years within the comic world. He created several of the famous icon heroes, Spider-Man, X-Men, even the Fantastic Four. The world has never going to be the same after he's passed. Even that he was very an icon within the comic series world, he even appeared in many other movies like Spider-Man, Avengers. I mean, he appeared in many of those movies, even as a cameo role, but he had always the same thing. But he had actually inspired many generations after since then within the comic business film industry. He had put a lot of his work, and his legacy would always continue and also still inspire people even long after he's gone. This year will never be the same without these famous people, but the world has to move on. We have to move on, but we always remember those people because even we don't ourselves and within those particular industry like comic or music or film industry, but we always remember those are like heroes to us, inspiration to those who have been just starting with their moving acting, comic industry career. You always have to remember they will always be part of us as an inspiration for us and for future generations. There has been other things that has been going on this year. This is actually one of the topics I just wanted to talk about that happened actually early this year. This actually came out first, this was not actually meant for the public to know at first, but within the Brony fandom, early this year, around January, it actually came public by someone leaked this information by I don't know exactly how or who did it. I will never go to search out for it. But anyways, I'm talking about Toon Critic Y2K incident, or as I would like to say, Toon Critic Y2K scandal. This particular person, this guy, he was one of the biggest YouTubers within the Brony fandom. He had thousands of subscribers, had many of those great friends. He had many friends within the fandom. Dr. Wolf, Lightning Bliss, Your Scorcher, Golden Fox, Keyframe, and so on. He actually appeared in several of those conventions with his friends, and even was part of the TFQ, Analyst, Anarchy projects, and many others. But it turns out later on that he actually had done something much, much wrong deed. He actually came out as a pedophile, or for at least what I think about. After this came out, all his friends, they made a statement how they felt, and they started to at least avoid it. They started avoiding him. And he deleted all his social medias, all of it. Even his YouTube channel, DeviantArt, Facebook, everything. And this is something he was just like off the radar. It turns out that George Scorcher, British Ninja, and many others, they tried to make him go to the police and report himself. But did he? No. Because they gave him 24 hours as a warning. If he doesn't report himself, they would. But it turns out he didn't never caught. At least from my understanding, or from I know. I actually looked up to this guy as an inspiration, as an idol, one of those top favorite win the the Brony fandom. But I regret I ever considered him as an idol. What he did is unspeakable, is forgivable. And then many of those fans or many of those former friends perhaps have forgiven him, but never could truly forgive him what he did, but only forgive what he has probably said. But I will never forgive him, ever. I mean, but only after some time after this statements came out, this call between him and the others, it actually turns out the number of people who have been so-called survivors, if I better could say it, actually the number increased from one to several. And I know that many are still trying to overcome this event or scandal that happened earlier this year. When I first heard about it from Dr. Wolf, I couldn't even believe myself. But much of this event had caused very drastic change order within the Browning fandom itself. But that makes us strong and always remember that we can always get together as a united fandom and stand against anything things like that to ever happen again. And of course that might happen, but we always should stay together no matter what happens. That was all I want to say about that topic. Much of about this year has been had these very good moments and some bad moments. The bad moments were like what happened with Toon Critic and that we had lost so many good celebrities over this year. It is still feels unreal that we have lost so many good people within the music, film industry, comic industry, but at the same time, they had inspired many others to embrace their goal to want to be either an artist, singer, or a director with a movie or in the theater. But you always have to remember they will always inspire us and future generations to come. Many of us still wonder what will happen to us in the next year, 2019. That can no one ever say for sure, but only that we all know for sure that we will embrace it when it happens. Many things have happened over this past 365 days or an entire year of 2018. Personally, from my understanding, this year has been having its bad and good moments like a roller coaster ride. That can I say for sure that happens every year. But I know for sure that one thing had happened to a friend of mine. She had a little bit bad luck in the past, over the past year, to find to someone, not settle down with, but someone to love. Until actually she found her only a few months ago. She found her girlfriend, and I was just hoping that they will meet someday, and just be happy. And the things that happened to me personally over this year, well, except from that, my relationship with Rose, that was early this year, fall apart around April. I had a bit of fight with her, and I tried to figure out how to save it, try to save our relationship, but it didn't work because at the same time I was in love with two girls, and two girls was in love with me at the same time, which I was so confused because that has never happened to me. And I let the fate to decide to which girl to stay with, either Rose or Andrew. But the fate said told me to stay with Rose, and I tried to make this to work out. But sadly it didn't. But I still try to be with her as a friend. I still like Rose as a friend now, and she likes me as a friend, or perhaps even more, I don't know. But I will always still be there for her as a friend. And being Andrea, I can say that she is my true soulmate. I have never been this happy since I met her. Even I haven't met her in person, but we have been window chatting over some time from time to time, and it's just the best thing that can be happen even not in person. She had herself having bad luck in herself. She wasn't had a crush on a guy when she used to be a friend with, but it turns out he broke her heart and she fell into depression. But then when something happened with her family, and that I was there to support her what happened, and she felt me for me even more. And now 8 months later, we're still together. I just enjoy love to talk to her. Another two things that happened to me this year. I have reached 4,000 subscribers, which I didn't expect. But if I hope with sometime within next year to reach 5,000 subscribers. And also this year, I have been on YouTube for 10 years. My 10 years anniversary on YouTube. To be honest, I never did expect to be there to be on YouTube for this long, or be this popular with my last stories and true friend stories and all. I was never expect that. I was just planning to make some random videos, but turns out I was just stuck with the Metal Ponies universe, and I will continue to do all the stories as I promised. And well, everyone, that was all I want to say in this video. What had happened in 2018. I say goodbye 2018 and hello 2019. Well, I hope everyone has a great New Year's and a happy night 2019. Goodbye.